Our current president admits to having smoked a fair amount of marijuana in his youth, and even using some cocaine. But if you were caught with a certain amount of cocaine 3 times, you could be spending the rest of your life in prison. The president before him was caught driving under the influence. But if you were driving your friend to a drug deal, you could be spending the rest of your life in prison. And the president before that, he says he didn't inhale. But if you were the one selling him the marijuana and he said you had a gun on you, you could be spending more than half a century in prison. Here are 3 reasons why mandatory minimums are really bad. Reason number 1, they give ridiculously long sentences relative to other crimes. Take the case of Weldon Angelos, a 25-year-old record producer. He was convicted of selling marijuana a couple of times to an informant who claimed that he had a gun. He received more than twice as much time as he would have if he had hijacked an airplane, detonated a bomb in public, or even if he was a second-degree murderer. Weldon Angelos is going to be 80 by the time he gets out of jail. He has kids. Can you believe that? More time than a murderer for selling marijuana? Number 2, they punish the wrong people. Congress enacted the mandatory minimum laws ostensibly to go after big-time drug traffickers. So-called serious offenders would be subject to a 5-year mandatory minimum. So-called major drug traffickers, 10. The punishments increased to 20 years or even to mandatory life for people with prior drug felony convictions. Here's where it gets tricky. You can have a drug felony conviction just for sharing a marijuana cigarette at a concert with a friend, or in some states, simply for possessing drugs for your own use. Are these the kind of people who should get 20-year mandatory minimum sentences or even life if they make another mistake down the road? Think about that. 5, 10, 20 years. How much time it is that we're really talking about. And think about how many people you know that could be in this category of a prior drug offender, just for sharing drugs or for possessing them for their own use. Number 3, they don't work. When Congress passed these laws in the 1980s, they did so to try and make drugs harder to find and more expensive. Today, drugs are just as available as ever and cheaper than before. Given that it costs $29,000 a year to keep someone in federal prison, and the price of drugs has gone down since the laws were passed, how could we say that these laws have worked? We can't. I'm Alex Craig, criminal law professor at Thomas Jefferson School of Law. These are just 3 of the reasons why I think mandatory minimums are among the worst aspects of our criminal justice system. If you agree with me, there is still reason to be hopeful that these laws can be reformed. Click here to see my next video about efforts to change the laws. If you want to get involved right now, click here. And don't forget to subscribe to Learn Liberty for more videos like this one.